You know, it wasn't that long ago when Austin was hyped as the best city in the entire United States to move to. The cost of living was lower than either the East Coast or the West Coast. Big tech companies like Oracle and Tesla decided to move their corporate headquarters here. And during the pandemic, the lockdowns in Texas were a lot more relaxed than either California or New York. But if you fast forward today, there's a lot of reports that make you believe that people are leaving Austin faster than they came here. This article interviewed 5 people from the Bay Area who moved to Austin and then moved back. Now, to put this in perspective, in 2021 alone, Austin added 63,000 net new residents. So the opinions of 5 of those transplants may not accurately represent the opinions of everybody else that moved here, but it does provide a catchy headline. Compare that to a recent report by the City of Austin's demographer Lilia Valencia. She said that Austin is the fastest growing city in the United States for the 12th year in a row. And when you consider other areas of the Austin metro, you'll see that suburbs like Georgetown, Kyle, and Leander are 3 of the top 4 fastest growing large cities in the country. If you're a purist and you insist that Austin is only what's inside the city limits, you might be surprised to learn that in 1980, the city of Austin accounted for 59% of the entire metro population, but by 2020, that share had fallen to 42%. City projections forecast the city of Austin's population will climb to 1.1 million by 2030 and more than 1.6 million by 2060. During that same time period, the forecasts for the entire metro are 2.8 million by 2030 and more than 4.3 million by 2060. So if you've bought into the myth that everybody is leaving Austin, you might want to dig a little deeper to find the truth. Every year, there are some who decide to leave Austin, but there also continues to be more coming than there are going. So the net population increase is about 2.5%. In a video like this, I thought it might be fun to ask for your participation. What are some of the myths that you've heard about Austin? It might be that you moved here expecting one thing, and then after you got here, you found out it was very different. Or it could be that you've lived here for a while, but you keep hearing people saying things about Austin that you know are not true. Whatever it might be, put it in the comments below. And if you're up for it, I might even include you in one of my future videos. Remember, with the power of Zoom, you might be able to do that from the comfort of your living room. But enough about that. The second biggest myth that I hear about Austin all the time is that housing is too expensive. In November of 2020, the median price for a house in the metro was $365,000. That shot up 30% to $470,000 in November of 2021, but has settled back to $424,000 in November of 2023. If you look at the starting point at $365,000 and move forward 3 years to $424,000, that's a 16% increase, which represents about 5% a year, which evens out that appreciation curve because 5% yearly was about what the average was prior to the pandemic buying frenzy. Another part to understanding the truth about housing affordability in Austin goes back to that City of Austin versus Austin metro mentality. Most of the homes inside the city limits are going to be older, and a lot of the new construction inside the city limits is going to be larger, contemporary designed, expensive homes. The trend is to tear down those old houses, which usually sit on a large lot, and build that contemporary home that could be anywhere between 5 and 10 times more expensive than the original house. This clearly is going to increase the cost to buy in that same neighborhood, and this is partially driven by buyer preferences to live closer to the downtown area. If you were to compare options in areas further out, where land is less expensive, you're going to find a lot more selection of houses at lower price points. Another part to understanding the affordability in Austin is that the city of Austin tends to have a higher percentage of renters than the suburbs do, and this seems to be driven by preferences rather than necessity. The creation of all these high-paying tech jobs has increased the median household income in Austin, and there are countless examples of households with the ability to buy, but who choose to rent instead. I would never recommend this, but there are a lot of people who would rather pay $3,000 to $4,000 a month to rent a condo downtown instead of using that money to buy their own home. Well, those are the 2 biggest myths about Austin that I've seen, but what do you think? Is it the extreme weather, the political climate, public transportation, or maybe even the high property taxes? Whatever it is, put it down in the comments, and like I said, if you're up for it, I might even include you in one of my future videos.